Ladies and gentlemen, in this iFactioners learning video tutorial, we will learn to speak, read, write and type Urdu sentences related to restaurant. Let's start our tutorial. At the restaurant, restaurant में. So, restaurant is called restaurant in Urdu. Let's see how do we type restaurant in Urdu. For that, I open my Urdu keyboard on Windows and then I open the virtual keyboard and start writing restaurant. So restaurant is re, ye, sin, res, tu, te pesh wow tu, res, tu, and ran, re, alif, noon, restaurant. And in the restaurant, may means in. In Urdu, we say in the restaurant or restaurant mein. So we will say mim, ye, and noona. Restaurant mein. Now let's see how do we write this restaurant mein in Roman English or Roman Urdu. So we start with restaurant. Restaurant is RESTORAN, restaurant, and may is MEIN, MEIN, restaurant may. Now let's see how do we write restaurant may in Urdu language. So to write restaurant mein in Urdu, we start with re. And then ye, and then sin, two parts for sin, then te and wow. Put two dots for choti ye and two dots for te, and restu, re alif noon, ran, restaurant में, mim ye noona, restaurant में. Let's suppose we want to say let's go to the new restaurant or to the new Chinese restaurant or to the new continental restaurant, whatever is the name. So let's see how do we say it in Urdu. Now we want to say let's go to the new restaurant. Let's go to the new restaurant. Now first let's translate each and every word in Urdu. So let's can be translated as आओ and us is हम. आओ हम. Go जाएं. Verb is to go, jana, but here because hum is a plural, therefore we use jaएं. To की तरफ, की तरफ. But in Urdu we will say में. आओ हम नए रेस्टोरेंट में जाएं. So instead of to, we will use may. And new is नए. Restaurant is restaurant. Restaurant. Now we will type all these words in Urdu language. So I switch to Urdu keyboard and start writing aw. Aw is alif, mad a, and hamza, waw, aw. Aw. Aw is come. And hum is he, mim, hum. Jai is jim, alif, ja, and then we need to write hamza. We need to type hamza, ye, and nuna. Jai. Now we want to write may, because usually we don't use ki taraf in Urdu. So we will say may, mim, ye, and nuna. Nay is noon, hamza, and badiye. Nay. And restaurant is re, ye, sin, res, tu, tewaw, tu, res, tu, and ran is re, alif, noon. So if we see, then we say आओ हम जाएं में नए restaurant. But in Urdu we start with the subject. So we will start with this sentence आओ हम, with these words आओ हम, and then comes the object, which is नए restaurant, and then we will say में जाएं, or you can say आओ हम नए restaurant चलें. So instead of में जाएं, we can also say चलें. So let's see how do we translate this. Let's go to the new restaurant in Urdu. So in Urdu, to form a sentence, we will say आओ, alif mad a, hamza waw, आओ. हम, he, mim, hum. नए, नून, हमजा, बढ़िए, नए. Restaurant is re, ye, sin, te, wow. Restu, re, alif, noon. Restaurant. So instead of में जाएं, we will say चलें. चलें. Chalna means to walk, but here it means let's go, to go. चलें. Che, lam, ye, and nuna. आओ हम नए restaurant चलें, and in the end we put a hyphen. Now let's see how do we write this sentence in Urdu language. So we will say आओ. So to write alif, I put a straight line, then this symbol, and then hamza waw, आओ. Hum, he, mim, hum. नए, नून, हमजा, बढ़िए, नए. Restaurant is re, ye, sin, te, waw. Restu, ran, re, alif, noon, ran. And chale can be written as che, lam, ye, and nuna. आओ हम नए restaurant चलें. So now let's suppose we go into the restaurant, and the waiter asks us for how many people, or let's suppose we want to say we want a table for 4. We a table for 3, 4, 5, whatever is your number. So now we want to translate, we want a table for 5. So we is हम, want is चाहिए और चाहते हैं, चाह. So here we will use चाहिए, चाहिए. And because we are using चाहिए, therefore we will use हमें, हमें. A is एक, table is table or मेज. So you can just write table. 4 is के लिए, and 5 can be translated as 5. हमें 5 के लिए एक टेबल चाहिए. So now let's see how do we write हमें in Urdu language. So I switch to Urdu keyboard in Windows, and then I write हमें, हे, मीम हम, and ये नूना हमें. चाहिए can be typed as छे, alif, हे, ये, and बढ़िए, चाहिए. एक is alif, ये, काफ, एक. Table or maze, we can say maze. So maze is मीम, ये, and ze, maze. And if we want to say table, then table can be typed as te, ye, be, lam, table. के लिए, काफ बढ़िए के, and लिए, lam, ये, ली, ये हमजा बढ़िए, के लिए. And 5 is पे, alif, noon, चे, 5. Now if we see, then we have written हमें चाहिए एक मेज के लिए 5. But to form a sentence in Urdu, we will start with the subject, then comes the object. And here the subject is हमें, then object is people, 5 लोग और 5. हमें 5 के लिए एक मेज चाहिए. और just to be clear, we will say हमें 5 लोगों के लिए एक मेज चाहिए. So let's see how do we type it in Urdu. So in Urdu we will say हमें, हे, मीम, ये, नूना, हमें. Then comes 5, पे, alif, noon, and che, noon, and then che, 5. So it's better to say 5 लोगों. Log are people, so we will say 5 लोगों, lam, वाव, लो, and गाफ, वाव, नूना, लोगों. के लिए काफ बढ़िए के, लाम, हमजा, ली, लाम ये ली. So it's लाम, ये, हमजा बढ़िए, लिए. हमें 5 लोगों के लिए. So you can say एक मेज, or you can simply say maze or table. So usually we don't say our table, but we just say table. So we will say table चाहिए, चे, अलिफ, चा, हे, ये, बड़ी है, and in the end a hyphen. So we will say हमें, हे, मीम. So there is no alif in the beginning. हमें 5 लोगों के लिए टेबल चाहिए. So now let's see how do we write this sentence in Urdu language. So we will start with हमें, which is हे, मीम, ये, नून, ना. So we will say हमें, हे, मीम, ये, and नून, ना. 2 dots under ये. हमें 5, 5 is 5, पे, अलिफ, पा, नून, छे, 5. हमें 5 लोगों, लाम वाओ, गाफ वाओ, नून, ना, लोगों के लिए. काफ बड़ी है, के, लाम, ये, हमजा बड़ी है, लिए. You can say ek, or you can say simply say maze or table. Maze it is written like this: mim, ye, ze, maze. And for table we will say table, te, te, belambal, table. चाहिए is चे, अलिफ, चा, हमजा, है, ये, बड़ी है, चाहिए. हमें 5 लोगों के लिए मेज चाहिए. हमें 5 लोगों के लिए टेबल चाहिए. Now you want to say, excuse me, I would like to have a menu. So let's see how do we say it in Urdu. First let's see how do we say excuse me. So excuse me in Urdu is माफ़ कीजिएगा, और excuse is माफ़ कीजिएगा and me is मुझे. So here we will say माफ़ करना, माफ़ कीजिएगा. So it's better to just say माफ़ करना. And me is मुझे. Excuse me, मुझे, माफ़ करना, मुझे. So now let's see how do we type माफ़ करना in Urdu. So माफ़ is meme and alif, and ma and fe. माफ़ करना is काफ, रे, नून, alif. माफ़ करना. मुझे can be typed as meme, jeem, and because it's making an aspirated sound, we use दो चश्मी है and बड़ी है. So now let's see how do we write this sentence in Urdu. As we have already discussed that in Urdu we start with the subject. So we will say मुझे माफ़ करना. So we will say मुझे माफ़ करना. मीम, जीम, हे, and बड़ी है, मुझे. माफ़ is मीम, ऐन, अलिफ, फे. मुझे माफ़ करना. Or you can simply say माफ़ करना. मुझे माफ़ करना. Now let's see how do we write मुझे माफ़ करना in Urdu. So we will start with me. Jim, A, and बढ़िए. If you want to put, then you can put a pesh on top of me. Mim pesh Jim, मुझ हे बढ़िए हे मुझे माफ. Mim and alif fe माफ करना. काफ रेख कर नून अलिफ ना. मुझे माफ करना. Now we want to say, let's suppose I want to have a menu. So in Urdu, so let's first write it in English. I would like to have a menu, or I want a menu card. Let's suppose we want to say I want a menu card. So in Urdu we will say मुझे चाहिए. चाहिए. A is एक, menu is menu, or menu, card is card. So you can, if you want to literally translate I, मैं, want is चाहता हूँ, but usually we say चाहिए. मुझे एक menu card चाहिए. Now let's see how do we type it in Urdu. So we will say मुझे मीम जीम ए बढ़िए मुझे चाहिए is छे अलिफ हे छोटी ए एंड बड़ी ए चाहिए. एक is अलिफ ये काफ एक मेन्यू or menu. Usually we say menu or menu, both are correct. Mim ye me, noon wow nu, menu card. In Urdu, menu is menu, and card is kaf alif re dal, card. Now if we want to translate I want a menu card, then we say with the subject, we start with the subject, then comes the object, and then comes the verb. So in Urdu we will say मुझे एक menu card चाहिए. So now let's see how do we write it in Urdu. So we will say, type it in Urdu, मुझे मीम जीम ए बड़ी ए मुझे. So I have already told you that we usually don't say एक. मुझे menu card चाहिए. So you will just say menu card चाहिए या menu card चाहिए. मीम ये नून वाव मुझे मीनू कार्ड काफ अलिफ रे डाल कार्ड चाहिए. चे अलिफ हे ये बड़ी है चाहिए. So you will just say मुझे menu card चाहिए. Now let's see how do we write this in Urdu. So we will say मुझे mean so we will say मुझे मीम जीम हे बड़ी है मुझे मीनू इस मीम ये नून वाव मीनू कार्ड काफ अलिफ रे डाल. And चाहिए is चे अलिफ हे ये बड़ी ये चाहिए मुझे मेनू कार्ड चाहिए. Now let's suppose the waiter asks us, would you like to drink something? So in English, first let's type it in English. Would you like to drink something? So now he is asking us, would you like to drink something? And then we put the question mark. So first let's translate these words. Would is क्या चाहेंगे. So usually we start the question, these kinds of questions with क्या, but here would is चाहेंगे. चाहेंगे. You is आप to show some respect. And like is usually a पसंद, but here we will not use like. We will just use चाहेंगे. To is के लिए. Drink पीने पीने. And something is कुछ in Urdu. So now let's see how do we write or type these words in Urdu. First, चाहेंगे. चाहेंगे is चे alif cha. हैं हे ये and नून ना. चाहें. गे is गाफ बड़ी गे. चाहेंगे. आप is alif mad a and pesakin आप. Like is usually pasand, but we will not use it. But let's see how do we write pasand. P से नून दाल पसंद. के लिए is काफ बड़ी के and lam हमजा बड़ी के लिए. पीने is पे पी नून बड़ी ने पीने. And कुछ is काफ चे हे कुछ and then question mark. Now if we want to translate or if we want to ask, would you like to drink something, then in Urdu we start these type of questions with क्या. So we will say क्या and then comes the subject which is आप and then the object कुछ पीने के लिए and then the verb चाहेंगे. क्या आप पीने के लिए कुछ चाहेंगे? और क्या आप पीने के लिए कुछ चाहेंगे. We can also say क्या आप कुछ पीने के लिए चाहेंगे, but it's better to say क्या आप पीने के लिए कुछ चाहेंगे. So now let's write or type क्या काफ ये alif क्या. Then is आप alif mada पे साकिन आप. Then पीने पे ये नून बड़ी ये पीने. के काफ बड़ी के and लिए is लाम हमजा बड़ी पीने के लिए. कुछ काफ चे हे कुछ चाहेंगे. चाहना is चे अलिफ हे ये and नून ना चाहेंगे. गाफ बड़ी and then question mark. So in Urdu we ask, क्या आप पीने के लिए कुछ चाहेंगे? Now let's see how do we write this sentence or this question in Urdu. So we will start our question with क्या. काफ, ये अलिफ, क्या. आप, अलिफ मदा and पे साकिन. आप, पीने, पे ये नून बढ़िए. के लिए, काफ बढ़िए, के लिए लाम हमजा बढ़िए, लिए कुछ, काफ चे है कुछ. एंड चाहेंगे इस चे लिफ चा, हे ये नून ना. चाहेंगे, गाफ पढ़िए गे. क्या आप पीने के लिए कुछ चाहेंगे? Now let's suppose you say yes please or yes I would like to drink cola. So you say I would like to have a cola. Yeah, I want a cola. Simply yes. I want a cola or whatever. So yes can be हाँ or जी हाँ to show some respect. So you will say जी हाँ. I, मैं, or because we are saying I want, therefore we will say मुझे. Want is चाहिए, चाहिए. A is एक and cola is cola. जी हाँ मुझे चाहिए एक cola. Now let's see how do we translate it in Urdu or type it in Urdu. जी हाँ, Jim. So we will write Jim छोटी ए, G and then हाँ, हे अलिफ नून ना. जी हाँ. And मुझे is मीम जीम दो चश्मी है बड़ी है. मुझे चाहिए. चे अलिफ चा, हे ये बड़ी है चाहिए. एक अलिफ ये काफ एक. कोला is काफ वाव को लाम अलिफ ला. Cola. Now we want to translate this sentence in Urdu. So we will start with जी हाँ and then the verb or subject which is मुझे, then the object एक कोला and in the end चाहिए. So in Urdu we'll say जी हाँ मुझे एक कोला चाहिए. So now let's type this sentence. We will say, so you can simply say हाँ or जीम छोटी है जी, ए अलिफ हाँ नून ना. जी हाँ. मुझे मीम जीम हे बड़ी है. मुझे एक अलिफ ये काफ एक. कोला. काफ वाव को, लाम अलिफ ला, कोला. And चाहिए is चे अलिफ ए छोटी ए बड़ी ए चाहिए. जी हाँ मुझे एक कोला चाहिए. Now let's see how do we type जी हाँ मुझे write जी हाँ मुझे एक कोला चाहिए in Urdu. So we will say जी हाँ. जीम छोटी है जी हाँ ए अलिफ नूना जी हाँ and an inverted comma जी हाँ because Urdu is written from right to left, therefore we write comma like this. जी हाँ मुझे मीम जीम ए बड़ी है मुझे एक अलिफ ये काफ एक. कोला इज काफ वाव लाम अलिफ. कोला चाहिए इज चे अलिफ चा ए ये बड़ी है चाहिए. Now let's suppose the waiter says I will be right back or anything else. So let's suppose the waiter says anything else. Anything or else. So anything is kuch in Urdu, else can be translated as or. Or means and. Or kuch and anything else kuch. So let's see how do we write kuch or in Urdu. So we can say kaaf che he kuch. Or is alif waw re and then question mark. And this question can be translated as kuch or. So he will ask kuch और. काफ चे दो चश्मी है for the aspirated sound कुछ और अलिफ वाव रे question mark. कुछ और means आपको कुछ और चाहिए. Do you need anything else? So simply he can ask anything else. So now let's see how do we write it in Urdu. So we can write kuch as काफ चे हे कुछ और अलिफ वाव रे कुछ और. And you can reply no that is all. नहीं बस यही. Or that is it. Because you are just ordering drinks right now. So our answer can be no that is it or simply no. So after saying no or nahi, the waiter says I will be right back. So let's see how do we translate this. I will be right back. So I is मैं, will be is usually आऊँगा, but here we will say आता हूँ. आता हूँ means I am just coming back. आता हूँ. and right back is वापस, or right can be अभी. अभी is now, back is वापस. मैं आता हूँ अभी वापस. So now let's see how do we write or type मैं in Urdu. So मैं is simply meme, ye and nuna. मैं. आता हूँ. आता is alif mada te alif ta. And if the waiter is female, then she will say मैं अभी वापस आती हूँ. So instead of आता, she will use आती, because we have already discussed that in Urdu the sentence structure depends upon the gender of the subject or the object. Who is a, wow and nunna. Abhi is alif, be, a, choti a, and वापस is wow, alif, pe, sin, वापस. Or it's वापस, so it's not sheen, it's sin. Wow, alif, pe, sin, and then a hyphen. So now we want to translate this sentence in Urdu. So we will say मैं अभी वापस आता हूँ. So we will say मैं अभी वापस आता हूँ. So we can write it down or type it down as meme ye nuna मैं अभी alif be, and for aspirated sound दो चश्मी है छोटी है अभी वापस the वाव alif पे सीन वापस आता अलिफ मदा ते अलिफ ता आता हूँ ए वाव and nuna. मैं अभी वापस आता हूँ. So now let's see how do we write मैं अभी वापस आता हूँ. So we will start with meme ये नूना मैं अभी अलिफ बे हे छोटी ए अभी वापस वाव अलिफ पे सीन वापस आता अलिफ मदा ते अलिफ ता आता हूँ ए वाव नूना. And आती is for female alif mada te छोटी ti आती हूँ. Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue our discussion about how to order our food in the restaurant and how to communicate in the restaurant in the next tutorial in Urdu. Thank you very much for joining me. Please like, share and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, then you can use the comment section below. I will see you next time. Until then, take care, keep learning, keep enjoying. Good day.